After last week's massively depressing top 5 most disappointing sequels, it seems only fair that this week we'll whip out the opposite and get out those games that managed to ride the hype train to its final destination and disembark without any major casualties. The games that not only match up to their predecessors, but can wave down on them from a great height. Hello, my name is Daniel Savage, and this is my personal top 5 most improved sequels of all time. Intro!
Starwing, or Star Fox in the US on the SNES, was a great little on-rail shooter with some super impressive graphics at the time. Thanks to the brand spanking new FX chip installed in the game cartridge, the humble 16-bit machine was able to pump out some actual polygons, and it blew my little mind. But it was nothing for what was in store. Lilac Wars, or Star Fox 64, took the basics laid down by its predecessor and ramped it all the way up to 11. Voice acting, free range mode, branching paths, multiplayer, different vehicles, state-of-the-art graphics, and to top it all off, it was the very first video game with a rumble feature, thanks to the included rumble pack. Lilac Wars was another one of those early N64 games that made you feel you were truly in the new generation of video games. Now we were most definitely playing with power. BioWare's first Mass Effect game was a sci-fi adventure of epic proportions, featuring a rich, detailed galaxy with creative and diverse characters, and a plot so grand in scale it could be a piano. But from a gameplay perspective, it had some notable issues. The RPG elements did not fuse well with the shooting, and the game ended up not being very good at either. The Mako vehicle sections were a bore, and the inventory system was messier than my bedroom as a teenager, but Mass Effect 2 came along and proved to be a much more focused affair. BioWare stripped down the RPG pieces and focused on the action, which was now leagues ahead of the first. Tighter controls, rechargeable health, unlimited ammo, and some squad mates that have AI good enough to make them more than just cannon fodder. Some fans missed the more tactical approach of the first game, but for me, the more streamlined design of the second makes for a far more enjoyable experience. And with such an interesting cast of characters and quests, it's one I'll no doubt be going back to time and time again. The first Assassin's Creed was a great game for the first couple of hours. For the time, its parkour-like navigation mechanics were really unique and to me seemed a natural progression from games such as Prince of Persia. But whilst the medieval setting was historically interesting, the actual story was dull, the missions repetitive, and the AI about as sharp as a bag of wet hair. Assassin's Creed 2, however, still has most of these problems. But there is one aspect of the sequel that places it miles ahead of the first game. Ezio Auditore di Firenze. If I ever make a top 5 most boring protagonist list, I can guarantee the top spot will go to Altair from the first game. Our man Ezio is the antithesis of this, absolutely oozing charm and charisma. Even after the unfair hanging of his brother and father, Ezio retains his sense of humour while still being grounded enough to make you care about his troubles. Despite the game having the same problems of repetition and uninteresting combat of the first, the character of Ezio, coupled with the intrinsically more colourful setting of Renaissance Italy, shines through, and it makes the sequel a far more appealing and far less dour place to be. Maniac Mansion was nothing short of a revolution in adventure games. By removing the need for players to guess syntax and instead presenting them with preset instructions, it allowed the player to focus on puzzles and storytelling, but it committed both of the worst sins an adventure game can be guilty of: dead ends and being able to die. Sequel Day of the Tentacle is absolutely light years ahead. Not only does it completely do away with fail states, but the incredibly satisfying puzzles, coupled with a fully voiced cast, on the CD-ROM version at least, and superbly animated graphics, make this both a brilliant puzzle adventure game and a massively entertaining cartoon. LucasArts were well known for pushing gaming as a storytelling art form, and this is still to this day one of the best examples of the genre. Saying Super Mario Bros. 3 is the sequel to Super Mario Bros. Is like saying the Space Shuttle is the sequel to the Slingshot. Okay, maybe that's a stretch, but Mario 3 took the standards set down by Super Mario Bros. And improved on every single facet. Graphics, controls, sound, level design, more variety, more power-ups, more levels, more enemies, an overworld map, and it might not only be the most improved sequel of all time, but it's a strong contender for my favourite game of all time, full stop. For me, its replayability is endless, and its legacy, timeless. Well, that was a lot more fun and exciting than last week, wasn't it? So there's hundreds of great sequels out there, so get down in the comments, let me know what your favourites are. If you enjoyed the video, give us a cheeky subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Ta-ra.